Hello everybody, today we'll be designing two FIR filters, the low pass filter and a high pass filter using the Fourier transform with window function technique. So let's get started. Usually when an audio equipment receives an input digital audio x of n, it usually has frequencies which range from lower frequencies to higher frequencies, and no single device is capable of playing this audio due to the wide range of frequencies. So what does the audio the processing unit do is divide the signal into two parts, and these going to be parallel segments. The first part is fed into a high pass filter, the second part is fed into a low pass filter. So the spectrum of the original signal is preserved, as the cutoff frequency of both of these filters will be the same, and then we'll feed these into a specific device which can play specific frequencies. So the high pass filter will be fed into a tweeter which can play high frequencies, and low pass filter output will be fed into a woofer which can play low frequencies, and in this way we can play the entire range of frequencies of the audio signal x of n. And so we have to design the high pass filter and the low pass filter for this experiment. The design specifications are: the sampling rate is 16,000 Hz, so this audio signal is sampled at 16,000 Hz. The crossover frequency FC is 2,000 Hz, so the cutoff frequency of both of these filters is 2,000 Hz, and all of the frequencies above 2,000 must be captured by the high pass filter, and the frequencies below 2,000 Hz must be captured by the low pass filter. The transition band range is 1600 Hz, and since the transition takes place along a band of frequencies instead of instantaneously, the FC will have some range FL to FH, and in that range the frequencies will transition from going from a stop band to pass band range. The pass band ripple should be 0.1 dB and stop band attenuations will be 50 dB. And this means that when designing an FIR filter using this technique, we get pass band ripples which are not ideal, and we get stop band attenuations which are also not like which shouldn't be there in the first place if it's an ideal. So we require both of these specifications because we're designing the FIR filter. Given these design specifications, what first we do is we choose the window function, what window function we will use. And since the passband ripples is 0.1 dB and the stop band attenuation is 50 dB, we can see that the Hamming filter and the Blackman filter both can provide the 50 dB required stop band attenuations, and they can provide even up to 74 dB. And the passband ripple should be 0.1 dB, and these filters provide till 0.019. So these filters will be appropriate. So in this we can choose the Hamming filter for the as the window function for during the design process. We'll use the Hamming filter, and and also this is the equation for the Hamming filter, and this is the value that determines the window length. It's dependent on the delta f, or the transition band range. So to determine the filter length, what we'll do is divide the transition range. We'll divide 3.3 divided by delta f, and delta f is given by the transition range divided by fs, and we're given the transition range is 1600 Hz. So what we get here is 1600 Hz divided by 16,000 Hz. And this is equal to 0.1. So we get the value of n to be 33. So the filter length must be 33, and the window function must also be up till this length. To get the number of samples on each side, we can use this formula: 2m plus 1 is equal to n, and we get m is equal to 16. So now our system will vary from minus m to plus m, and we'll get 2m plus 1 values, the plus 1 coming because we're considering 0 here. The transition band frequencies, or the H, L and HF, these are the frequencies where the stop band and the pass band regions are transitioning, and we can calculate this very easily because Since we're giving that the since we're given that the transition bandage is 1600 hertz, that means that fh minus fl is equal to 1600 hertz. And since we're giving the crossover frequency as fc 2000 hertz, so the midpoint of the transition band, which is fh plus fl divided by 2, must be equal to this cutoff frequency. And solving these two equations, we can get fl is equal to 12,000 hertz and fh is equal to 28 hertz. So, and as we'll see in when we see the frequency response, uh, there will be, during the frequencies between 1200 hertz and 28 hertz, the 2800 hertz, the stop band attenuation, the stop band will transition into the pass band, and we'll get these frequencies, between these frequencies will get slightly attenuated, like it won't get completely attenuated as in the stop band, and it won't get totally not attenuated like in the pass band. The cutoff frequency is nothing else but the crossover frequency for both the filters, because that's how it is defined. And now we come of how to design the low pass filter. And from the above design uh, things, we have come up with these three design specifications. The M is equal to 16, the cutoff frequency is equal to 2000 hertz, and fs is equal to 16,000 hertz. And we can calculate the angular normalized cutoff frequency by using 2f/fc by fs, and we get this value 0.7853 radian. Now the main thing comes of how to develop the FIR low pass filter, and we'll start with the ideal low pass filter. The ideal low pass filter is like this. From 0 to fc, we get this band, and from fc till pi we have this stop band, and from minus pi to minus fc we also got this stop band. We can take, to get the values of h of n, we can take the inverse Fourier transform, and we get this taking the inverse Fourier transform. And as you can see, the h of n is infinite here, has infinite number of terms, because n can vary from minus infinite to infinite. And since the values of n are also negative, then this is a non-causal filter and cannot be practically implemented. So what is the best thing to do is we take the truncation of this h of n, and we get this values. So from minus m to m we get h of n, and it's 0 otherwise, and this truncates the infinite response, so we get a finite impulse response as we are designing a FIR filter. Now, to take care of the Gibbs effect, because when we're truncating like this, there will be a sudden fall in the h of n values when we reach the endpoints minus m to m. So it is required to smoothly decrease the values from 0 to m as the filter is going from that. To do that, we use the window function, and as discussed above, we chose the Hamming window function. So we just need to multiply the corresponding values of h of n and y ham of n, w ham of n, and this will get a very nice impulse response which decays as it goes to the endpoints. It will be truncated, so it will be a finite impulse response. But what is the main problem here is that it is a non-causal, and to make it physically realizable, we shift the whole of the h of n from minus m and m to 0 to 2m. So we're shifting it by m samples, and mathematically it can be defined by this. We're shifting h of w by m samples to the right, and this now becomes a physically realizable impulse response of a filter, because it has a finite number of terms, and it is causal in nature. And for the low pass filter, this is the impulse response that I get. So as you can see, it varies from 0 to 32, because the value of the m was 16, so it varies from 0 to 33 actually. and it is a totally causal filter because we have finite number of terms, and we don't have any negative values. We can easily calculate the transfer function by taking the definition of the Z transform, and we can also find the frequency response by just replacing Z by e raised to power j omega, or we could just calculate by substituting e raised to power j omega directly on here, or taking the DTFT. And using these design specifications, what we get, these are plotted using MATLAB. You can see that from 1200 to from the 1200 to 2800 frequencies, the filter is transitioning from the pass band to the stop band. For and at 2000 hertz, the cutoff frequency is present, and this is a very nice low pass filter. Although it isn't ideal, but it does the job very nicely. This is the phase response, and since we use the window function, the Gibbs effect is very much suppressed, but we can still see it because the window function doesn't make the Gibbs effect to zero, it just reduces it. If we zoom in to this portion, zoom into this stop band area, we get this. And as you can see, these values, this is the Gibbs phenomena that I was talking about. And if we zoom in at this passband area, we get this, and this is another Gibbs effect phenomena. If we hadn't used that window function, this effect would have been more pronounced. Similarly, we can design the high pass filter. Their design specifications are the same, but what changes is the ideal high pass characteristics. From 0 to f omega c, the value of the ideal high pass filter is 0, and from omega c to pi it is 1, and same on the other side. If taking the inverse discrete Fourier transform, we get this, and we can convert it into a finite number of terms by truncating it from minus m to m, but this will lead to the Gibbs effect phenomena. So what we'll do, we'll take the Hamming window function and we'll multiply it with the h of n that we called, and this will reduce the Gibbs effect by a significant amount. But to make this system physically realizable, we need to shift it by m samples so that it becomes a causal filter and can be physically realizable. Again, this is the impulse response of the high pass filter that I got. As you can see, it is a causal, we don't have any negative values, and we have a finite number of terms here, so it is an FIR system. This is the magnitude response. Again, you can see from 1200 to 2800 frequencies, the filter is transitioning. 1200 to 2800 frequencies, the filter is transitioning from the stop band to the high band. This filter or the crossover system that we just showed, that divides the audio signal into two parts and gives them to a high pass filter and the low pass filter. This we can actually implement them using audio signals that were sampled at 60,000 hertz. So in this case, I've used a song called Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, and this is the frequency spectrum of the audio signal. And as you can see, we have a high number of frequencies. It varies from 0 to 8,000 hertz. This range of frequencies cannot be played by one single audio device. So what we'll do, we'll pass this through the designed low pass filter and then through the designed high pass filter, and then the outputs that we get from the high pass and the low pass filter will plot the spectrum of the high pass and the low pass. And as you can see, this is the spectrum of the output of the high pass filter, and this is the spectrum of the output of the low pass filter. And it does a pretty good job of taking the low frequencies to take the high frequencies. As it was, so the filter is working as expected, and it can be verified that the filter has the design specifications that were required. One thing to note here is that during the transition band, which is from 1200 to 2800 hertz, those frequencies will overlap in both of these cases, and it will be attenuated For the alternative frequencies will present in both of the high pass and low pass filter output. Coming to the implementation of FIR filters on Arduinos, what we can do is we can take the calculated impulse response and use the inverse Fourier transform method, inverse Z transform method on mode, to get the difference equation from the impulse response, and we can we can code a program in art on an Arduino board that uses this difference equation to convert an input signal to an output signal, and then we can send the output to the serial port of the Arduino, and this can be viewed on a machine, and the plot is on the serial plotter. So what I've shown here is the top signal is the original signal, the audio signal, and the bottom one is the output of the low pass filter which was designed in Arduino. And as you can observe from here that the high frequency components have been removed and the waveform is much smoother. The, the red waveform is much smoother. This is another screenshot from another time interval, and it is more apparent here that the high frequencies have been smoothened out, and this is indeed an output of the low pass filter. On the other hand, for a high pass filter, the input signal like this, the low frequency components have been completely removed, and we can't see the low frequency components vary anywhere. Only the high frequency components are present, and in this screenshot you can see the same. I'll now demonstrate these plots using on the Arduino board right now. The input signal is of 8,000 samples, and it's defined by this array. The low pass impulse response is given here, and this is the code which converts the input signal using the difference equation, converts the input signal into an output signal and sends it to the serial plot using these three commands. And I've already uploaded this onto the board, and we can just open the serial plotter to observe the output. This is the output for the low pass filter, because this is the impulse response of the low pass filter, and as you can see the output is much smoothened out. We have high frequency components here, but we have smoother components here. So this is the output of the low pass filter. I can just show you like the output of the high pass filter by changing the impulse response like this, and I'll just re-upload it on the board. And you can see here it's writing 48,000 bytes onto the board, and that is just like 4% of the total capacity of the board. So this is a highly optimized procedure to do that, and it's finished uploading. I can just open the serial plotter, and this is the output of the high pass filter. The low pass, the low frequencies have been completely removed here. Coming back to this PDF, these are the codes that I have written for the MATLAB and Arduinos, and this is how you can design high pass and low pass filters using the FIR Fourier transform window method. And thank you for watching.